You are a fighter, I. In prison, I hear stories of the infamous Anne Bonny and Mary Read taking on the King's Navy together, just the pair of you. Edward Kenway, May 1721. Hello and welcome to Visions of the Past. My name is Andrew and I'm the host of this Assassin's Creed lore podcast. This is episode 68, and today we're going to talk about the famous pirate, Mary Read. Mary is one of numerous historical pirates that we see within Assassin's Creed, and because of that, before we talk about her history within the series, we need to talk about her historical counterpart. Born in England in 1685, her mother's husband was a sailor, and they had a son together. But when he disappeared at sea, Mary's mother became pregnant and tried to hide it by living with her friends in the English countryside. Before Mary's birth, her half-brother passed, and because the family was in financial distress, her mother decided to disguise Mary as her dead son so they could receive monetary support from her late husband's mother. The ruse fooled the grandmother as Mary and her mother lived on the inheritance into Mary's teen years. Mary, still disguised as a boy, found work as a footboy, essentially a servant for the wealthy, and eventually found employment on a ship. Mary eventually joined the British military, who, at the time, was allied with the Dutch against the French. Mary, still dressed as a man, proved herself in battle, but she did fall in love with a Flemish soldier. The pair married and used their military commission, along with the wedding gifts, to acquire an inn near Breda Castle in the Netherlands. They called it the Three Horseshoes. When her husband died early, Mary dressed up as a man once again and joined the military in the Netherlands. With no room for advancement, she quit and boarded a ship for the West Indies. The ship was taken by pirates, but Mary willingly joined them. Taking the king's pardon in the late 1710s, Mary took a commission to privateer, but she ended up joining the crew in mutiny. In 1720, she joined Calico Jack Rackham and Anne Bonny, both believing she was a man. On August 22nd that year, the three stole the sloop William while it was in port. Eventually, Anne Bonny told Mary that she was a woman because of an attraction that she had. This caused Mary to reveal her ruse as well. And, to abate the jealousy of Calico Jack, who was in a relationship with Anne at the time, Anne told him that Mary was a woman. On November 15th, 1720, the pirate hunter, Captain Jonathan Barnett, took the pirates by surprise while they hosted a rum party with another crew of Englishmen at Negril Point off the west coast of Jamaica. After a volley disabled the vessel, everyone but Mary, Anne, and one unnamed crew member fled to the ship's hold. But eventually, they were overcome and Calico Jack requested mercy. The pirates were arrested and brought to trial in Spanish Town, Jamaica. Here, they were all sentenced to hang for the piracy, but Anne and Mary claimed they were both pregnant and received temporary stays of their execution. Mary ended up dying of a violent fever while in prison, and while there is no record of the burial of her baby, her burial is recorded at St. Catherine's Church as April 28, 1721. Within the Assassin's Creed universe, we see Mary in three places. The game, Assassin's Creed IV Black Flag, where she is voiced by Olivia Morgan. The novel, Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and as a playable character in the mobile game, Assassin's Creed Rebellion. As with most historical characters, Mary's life within Assassin's Creed is similar to her historic counterpart, but with some of the details filled in. The first of these details is that when Mary dressed as a man, she took the alias of James Kidd, the bastard son of Captain William Kidd. Sometime before 1706, Mary met the mentor of the Caribbean Brotherhood of Assassins, Atabai, in Spanish Town, Jamaica, instantly trusting him, sensing a sort of wisdom within him. Shortly thereafter, she joined him as a member of the Order of Assassins. In 1715, under the alias of James Kidd, Mary met with the pirates Edward Kenway, Edward Thatch, and Benjamin Hornigold in Nassau. Mary instantly noticed that Edward was wearing the robes of an assassin, but when asked, Edward only stated that he got them from a corpse. Edward then expressed an interest in locating a place called the Observatory, which Mary claimed to be a myth, like the Fountain of Youth or El Dorado. They did work together shortly after, though, to take a plantation, and the two quickly struck up a friendship. In September 1715, Mary met with Kenway, Thatch, and Kenway's quartermaster at Awale to discuss how to protect the pirate republic from British recapture. They agreed to capture a Spanish galleon, which Kenway and Thatch went off to do. Mary met Edward again in March 1716 at Great Anagua, after Kenway took the island. Here, Mary led him to a Mayan stele in the jungle and asked him to complete its puzzle and goaded him to use his eagle vision, which she described as the light of life. Confirming her suspicions about Kenway, she showed him a set of tunnels that led to the island's manor, where they discovered maps to the locations of assassin bureaus throughout the Caribbean. When Edward admitted to selling these maps to the island's former resident, Julian Ducasse, Mary suggested that he should warn the assassins. Just before she left Great Anagua, Edward claimed that she knew more about the observatory than she was letting on, and in response, Mary told him to meet her in Tulum in several weeks. When Kenway arrived, he yelled at Mary for forcing her to sneak through the area because of the assassins that lived there. Mary didn't have time to respond before her mentor, Atabai, furiously retorted about his ignorant collaboration with the Templars. It took Mary informing Atabai about Edward's possession of what she called the sense, and a request to allow Edward to see the statue at the center of the Mayan temple, to even remotely calm him down. Atabai asked Kenway if he could recognize Bartholomew Roberts if he saw him again, and after Kenway said he could, he allowed them to go into the temple. During their travel to the temple, Mary explained the nature of the creed to Kenway, though she was unimpressed with his interpretation of it, thinking that he might not have what it takes to actually understand it. She also told him that after what he did with the Templars, marked him as a target with the assassins, and that it was her request that led to the assassins relenting. Once they reached the center of the temple and revealed the statue that Kenway did recognize as Bartholomew Roberts, the pair left, and when they reached Atabai outside, they found that the British had attacked the area, and they took prisoners. Mary helped Atabai and Kenway to free the area, and after the British left, she showed him a door in Tulum that was only opened using the stele that Mary helped him find at Great Anagua, telling him that if he returned all of them, that they would open the door to a mysterious and ancient reward. On April 26, 1717, Mary met back up with Kenway in Kingston after hunting Lawrence Prins to find out that Kenway was trying to use Prins and Templar Grand Master Laureano Torres to get to Bartholomew Roberts. Mary agreed to stay her blade from the two, but only because the assassins were hunting Roberts as well. After their first attempt failed, Mary had Kenway meet him at the top of a windmill, demanding that he helped her with her assassination of Prins. While on the windmill, Mary noted that the property was too well guarded to get by on stealth alone. After stating that she would draw away some of the guards, Mary dropped her disguise as James, choosing to allow Kenway into the select few that knew she wasn't a man. To this, Kenway quipped, "Your name's not James, is it?" And Mary, quick as a whip, smirked, "Not most days," and jumped from the windmill. After getting some of the guards to leave, Kenway infiltrated Prince's property and assassinated him. After the assassination, though, Bartholomew Roberts came out of the home with Mary hostage. After a quick exchange of words between Kenway and Roberts, Roberts shot an alarm bell, allowing for Mary to escape. When Mary and Kenway were safely outside of the property, Mary told him what her true name was, but that if he ever told anyone, she promised that she would unman him too. Mary didn't show herself for a little over a year after telling Kenway who she really was. When she did, though, it was in November 1718, at Kenway's hideaway on Great Anagua, the morning after a great party, where the pair talked about the end of the Pirate Republic of Nassau, while Mary still tried to get him to see the world for more than golden rum. She was so upset with Kenway that she even mentioned to Adewale that if he wasn't careful, he might get pulled down with Kenway. Sometime after this, Mary found out that Calico Jack Rackham had taken the jackdaw from Kenway and was taking it to Nassau. It's unclear that if she got to Calico Jack before or after he got to Nassau, but she was able to free him of command of the jackdaw and keep Adewale from returning to a life of slavery. Returning to Great Anagua in May 1719 to return the ship back to Kenway and hopefully convince him to help the assassins find Roberts. Kenway disagreed, though, and went back to hunting Roberts on his own. Shortly after, Mary became acquainted with Anne Bonny, and the two became fast friends. While disguised as James, Calico Jack, who was in a relationship with Bonnie, grew jealous and tried to fight Mary. Not wanting to take part in the meaningless fight, Mary revealed who she really was to the two. Over the next 17 months, the three set out pirating, and after they were captured because Calico Jack and the other men were too drunk to fight, Mary was imprisoned and sentenced to be hanged alongside Bonnie in November 1720. The pair claimed to be pregnant, which delayed their execution, and 4 months later, Mary gave birth to a girl that was immediately taken away from her. Mary grew sick from the birth and the conditions where she was kept, but shortly after was rescued by Kenway and Atsubai. Kenway tried to help Mary leave the prison, but she was too ill to move, and with her dying breath, asked him to redeem herself for her sake, stating that she'd always be with him. Kenway refused to leave her and carried her body to Atsubai's boat, allowing for Atsubai to take Mary to Tulum to be buried. Mary Read is by far one of my favorite characters in the series. She was fierce when she needed to be, and never took any gruff from anyone. If she felt you were doing something for the wrong reasons, she let you know about it. She was unwavering in her convictions, and used the freedom of piracy to her advantage as an assassin. While Blackbeard's death was the first death that got to Edward Kenway, it was Mary's that shook his foundations. Her death started a fire not just within him, but within Anne Bonny too, that not only brought them together on the Jackdaw, but took them to start to fix the wrongs that Edward had done in his life. There is some room within Mary's life that could be explored yet, like joining the assassins and the missions that they sent her on early in her career with them, along with this and her pirate life before Edward. But, to be honest, I don't see the series going back to this time period, even within the comics or novels. Mary is by far one of the best characters that we have, and I'd love to see her put forward with her own story. But what do you think about the life of Mary Read? Let me know over on Twitter. And thank you for joining me today. Be sure to tune in every Tuesday for new episodes. If you love the Visions of the Past podcast, please subscribe and share this podcast with others. If you have any questions about Assassin's Creed or topics that you'd like me to cover, please feel free to hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at visions_AC. And you can find those links in the show notes below. Until next time, my assassin friends, make sure to follow the creed. And to those Templars listening, may the Father of Understanding guide you.